Hey, it's Andryanna, and I'm so happy that you tuned into this episode of The Juggle is Real. Because if you're listening to this right now as it's being released, we're at about the 1 month marker before the big day, before Christmas, and before the holidays all come to this big conclusion. And I want to share this episode with you right now because there's been a lot shared, especially in social media lately, about just saying no for the month of November. And while I do agree that this is an important message and it can be really helpful, how the heck do we just say no? How do we go about doing this in our lives when we have a lot of responsibilities, when there's still things that have to get done, and when we might not feel great about saying no? We might have those people pleasing tendencies, or it might bring up a lot of emotions that we're not really comfortable with. So, this episode is dedicated to actually learning and figuring out how you can say no and what you can say no to now so that in a month's time, you're feeling a little more cheerful than you might be stressed, overwhelmed, or just at your wits' end come Christmas. So, I'm going to go through a little bit of an exercise with you that you can look at now to determine how to say no, what you can say no to, what you can let go of, even just for the next month, so that your holidays are better spent. Let's get started. Hey, I'm Andryanna Gonco, and this is the Juggle is Real podcast. As I share my ongoing journey from experiencing burnout to leading a more mindful and intentional life with better balance, I hope you feel seen, that you realize your worth, lighten your load, and prioritize your own needs. As we hear from leading experts and well-known faces in the wellness, entrepreneurship, education, and motherhood space, I hope you gain insights, proven practices, and learn actionable tools to help you enjoy the juggle of work, family, and everything in between with a little less stress and a lot more ease, joy, and fun. Most of all, I hope you find what you need to simplify, streamline, and supercharge your own journey of better balance and self-love. Are you with me? Let's get started. Okay, my friend. Yes, we're all about saying no for the month of November, and November is coming to a close pretty soon. We've got a little while left. And if you're listening to this as it's being released, maybe you're out there doing that American Thanksgiving, Black Friday shopping. You're in the hustle and bustle mode. You may or may not have decorated yet. It may or may not be a stressor for you. You may or may not have a lot of additional things being put on your plate right now. And so this episode is really going to help you in deciding and determining what's best to be left off your plate right now, what you can release, what you can let go of, and how to actually say no in a way that's really serving you and those around you in your best light. So I'm not going to lie, I've been preaching this since September, and this is a message that I usually talk about every year around the holidays. But back in September, and no judgment here, I know how things go, and I know for myself in my life, all these things creep up. And I know how it can become so overwhelming, leading to feelings of resentment, leading to frustration, leading to really reacting to those little things that maybe don't necessarily bother me on a day-to-day basis. Around the holidays, those things can really pile up and it can all become too much. So I'm going to share something with you that I did share in September, and I'm sharing it with you now because it can be really helpful leading up to the holidays. And so this phrase is that I don't say no because I'm so busy. Okay. If I'm saying no to, it's not necessarily because I'm so busy in the moment. I'm saying no because I don't want to be so busy. I don't say no because I'm so busy. I say no because I don't want to be so busy. So I want you to think about this, and I want you to consider this as we go through this exercise, because oftentimes around the holidays, there's a lot of great stuff too, right? And so we want to make room for the fun and the partying, or the gift giving, or the delicious meals and the baking and the holiday cooking. But when it's thrown on top of everything else, that's when it can get to be too much. So I want to take a short amount of time right now with you to go through an exercise, to look at what's on your plate, to perhaps look at what's most important to you so that you can make room in the correct proportion for you now. And then look at maybe what's piling on that doesn't necessarily need to be there, or what you can release even for a short amount of time to clear space for the things that really matter. So if that sounds good to you, let's get started. And I'll invite you to grab a notebook, some fresh sheets of paper, grab a pen or some type of writing instrument. And if you can't do that, that's okay. You can listen now and maybe do the exercise later. Or if you're really in a mode where you know yourself, you're not going to do the exercise, you're not going to get the piece of paper, maybe you can mentally do it with me now. If you're driving or walking, any type of action that you're taking from this information is going to be really helpful. So if you need to pause to grab that stuff, go ahead and do that now. And we're going to start this exercise actually by setting our intentions. Okay, so we're going to take 2 minutes to have that pause, and I'm going to guide you through a few short minutes to kind of bring you back to that set point, bring you back to a place where you can think more clearly. So if there's a lot going on and if it's really noisy, perhaps go to a quiet place or just allow yourself a couple of minutes to think. Okay, so let's all begin by taking a few deep breaths and just setting our intentions for the holidays. So let's inhale and exhale. Feel free to move your neck and shoulders. Do anything that's going to make you feel more comfortable in the moment. And make sure you take a nice big deep inhale all the way to your belly. Hold it. And then exhale, let it all out. So for the next couple of minutes, there's nothing for you to do. You can put your to-do list aside. No one needs you. You have to focus on yourself and your breath and inhale and exhale. And as you take those nice big deep breaths, I'd like for you to set an intention for your holidays. Thinking ahead as you look to the holidays that you celebrate. On Christmas morning, how do you want to feel? When you go to sleep, after the holidays are over, after you had that big holiday meal, how do you want to feel? Take a deep breath and allow whatever comes to mind. And keep breathing, picturing yourself feeling this way. In your head, repeat the phrase, I am, and then add those feelings that come to mind. You might be thinking, I am calm. I am grateful. I am so supported. And whatever comes up for you, take those breaths as you repeat the I am statement with each inhale and exhale. This is the person you will be on the holidays. This is how you're showing up for yourself, for your children, for your spouse, for your extended family, regardless of your relationships. So inhale one more time. And on your final exhale, release all of those statements and let go. When you're ready, open your eyes and we can begin our exercise. I'd love to know how you're feeling right now. This is something that we do in the workshops that I do. And I think setting our intentions and looking ahead to the person we want to be is really, really helpful because it puts us in that frame of mind for our future self. And if you're feeling in today, the place where you are now, if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling overwhelmed, or you can think back to last holidays where maybe you weren't the person that you're anticipating now. Maybe you weren't that present and patient and loving and warm person that you wished to be. Maybe you had those moments where the holidays just became too much and you didn't know how to cope. This exercise is going to help you in determining what's most important for you now so that come the holidays, you truly can live those I am statements and you can be that person that you wish to be. So, with these considerations in mind, I want you to grab that piece of paper or be in that frame of mind where you're ready to look at what's on your plate. I want you, if you have that paper and pen, I want you to draw a big circle on that sheet. That's going to represent your plate, right? So it's kind of like a pie chart. And this big circle, this plate represents everything that you take on in your week. And so I want you to divide up your plate with the umbrella categories of where you spend your time. So some of the examples, how you might be dividing up your plate might include the time that you spend for work, time if you have maybe a side hustle or a project that you're working on, the time you spend with your family, time on managing your home, time for self-care, time for yourself. And then within each category, whatever categories you might have more, you might have less. I want you to add in the tasks that you typically complete in a week within each of those categories, within each slice of pie that represents your plate. So for your work, you might have your admin time, client-facing time, travel if you travel for work or if you commute, if you're doing any type of marketing or social media, whatever you're doing in your work. In your family time, you may have the activities and the extracurriculars for your kids, the appointments that you have, the homework, the meals that you're cooking, the groceries. If you have animals, maybe you have vet appointments or grooming appointments, time spent brushing, walking, etc. You might have time built in every week for that quality time with your family, maybe going on a date night once a week, seeing your spouse or spending time having a quick conversation. Add all of that in as you typically on an average day, here and now, what you're doing this week, what's on your plate. In the home category, you might include the tasks, like the laundry, the cleaning, the cooking, all of that stuff. Time for yourself. I hope this is a slice of pie that's on your plate. Include those items that you're currently doing right now. So I'm not saying, the lofty things that maybe you hope to achieve, but what are you really doing right now in that time for yourself? It could be things like, exercise or going for walks. If you are making time for meditation, that's amazing. If you have upcoming appointments, hair appointments or different things that you're doing, add that into the time for yourself. If there's any personal care, all of the things count, right? The flossing, the brushing your teeth, your physio appointment, any type of therapy, going for a manicure, all of that should be on your plate because those are things that you are currently doing. And if there's any other categories that you feel you dedicate a sufficient amount of time to in a week currently that's not fitting in any other category, I want you to add that in now. And then I also want you to add a category under the umbrella of time drains. Okay, so I want you to put that in. Now, it might come from some of the other categories. It's a neutral category. It doesn't have to be negative. Okay, but in this area, I want you to think about the things that you do in a week that take time, but aren't really contributing to anything. So this can be things like scrolling on social media. Be honest here. Your phone might send you a weekly recap of how much time you're spending on your phone. So your social media time or watching TV time, even things like driving to the grocery store and finding that parking spot or waiting in line at Tim Hortons or the coffee shop on your way to work. Maybe it's at work, the meetings that you might not really have to be taking part in, but you feel bad or you're just doing it to make the time pass. Basically anything that uses your time and energy that doesn't really have a definite purpose or be a have to that's currently on your plate. So please feel free to pause here, spend a few minutes, invest just a short amount of time jotting down some of these tasks. And this is important because oftentimes we are just doing and going and being and getting those items done. We don't really realize or take the time to actually look at everything that we're accomplishing, everything that we're actually doing on a weekly basis. So when you're looking at this circle, when you're looking at what's on your plate now, really, really consider everything that you do. So feel free to pause and then come back when that's done. Whether you're writing it down or thinking about it, it's really important to consider everything that's currently on your plate. Okay, so now you probably have a pretty good picture of what's going on, what's happening on your plate on a weekly basis. And I want you to consider this from a monthly perspective as well, because right now we're at about the 1 month marker from Christmas. Okay, so we're about 1 month away. And then I want you to think about it from a daily perspective. So when you look at that week, all of those tasks that you're putting in, how much are you actually doing every single day? So Annie Dillard was quoted as saying, how we spend our day is, of course, how we spend our lives. Our lives are not made up of the things we do once in a while or every so often. Instead, the sum of our lives comes from the habits and routines we repeat every day, day after day. And we're talking about a short-term goal, right? We're looking at how we want to be the holidays, Christmas, when we are tucking our kids in, when we are sitting down after the gifts have been opened, the dinner has been eaten, and we are really just thinking of how everything went. There's such a buildup and there's so much expectations that are placed on us that we place on ourselves. And so I want you to consider this next quote by Joshua Becker as the first step in crafting the life you want is to get rid of everything you don't. And as you consider this, I want you to revisit your plate and look at everything that's on there. I want you to start by adding to the side or on a fresh sheet of paper, wherever there's a little bit of room, what you think you are going to have to add extra time for come the holidays, or what you want to add extra time for. So it could be adding a day for holiday baking. It could be spending time really carefully and curiously creating a gift guide for family members, or actually spending time looking online, shopping local stores, getting those items that you really feel are going to help others or mean so much to your children. It can be taking time to spend holiday cheer with your spouse or going to holiday parties. I want you to write down a list of the things that you want to add to your plate for this holiday season. Okay. And once you've done this, I want you to look at what's currently on your plate and I want you to circle of things that you want to create more space for. So if maybe the pie slice for yourself, for self-care is really minimal, maybe it's hardly there, maybe it's kind of obscure. If there's areas that you want to create more space for, I want you to circle those things now. And I want you to make sure that they're added to that list of what you want to accomplish, what you want to achieve, what you want to have time for during this holiday season. And I want you to draw a line through the items you think you can remove, that you think you can delegate, that you can ask for support with, or that you can perhaps put on hold for the next month. We're sort of at this time, the circle back after the holidays time, right? So I want you to put a line through the things that you think you can discard for the next month. Okay. And then I want you to put a star next to the items that maybe you can't remove altogether, but maybe you can shrink or maybe you can lessen them, right? So if you're hoping to take some time for holidays, if you want to take time off work or have less on your plate from a career standpoint, what are some items that maybe you can remove, shrink, or lessen that's going to allow you to take a few days off to spend with your family? And so I want you to spend some time doing this now. So adding to a new list what you want to create time for during the holidays that's different from your everyday. Circle the items that you want to create more space for. Cross out the items that you think you can remove, delegate, or find support with. And then put a star next to the items that you can maybe lessen or shrink down for the next month. So again, feel free to pause and take a few minutes to do this now. Okay, so now we are here and ready to put a plan in place. And I want you to think of the next month ahead, going into the holiday season. A lot of times when we look to make change, to create resolutions, or even things like something like going on a diet, we think so far ahead, but now we're looking just 1 month out. And the truth is that all we have is what is in front of us right now. So let's see if we can start small, make some changes with ease that will allow us to create the space and the time and have the energy that we truly want to be that person come Christmas Day. So, on a fresh sheet, or just erase what's on your mind right now, clear your mind, do a clean sweep. I want you to think or jot down in point form what items will create the biggest impact when looking at what you crossed off your plate. Okay, so here's some examples. Take what you like, and ignore what doesn't work for you. But think of some things that are really going to create those pockets of time, have the biggest impact when you're looking ahead to the holidays. So for instance, you might be able to remove 2 hours of getting groceries this week. You might order them to be delivered. And then with that 2 hour chunk, maybe that's when you have that extra pocket for self-care, or maybe that's when you can get ahead on your holiday shopping, or maybe that's when you can find some time to do that holiday baking, or go for coffee with a friend, or have that date night with your spouse. Another example, by ending your social media scrolling at 8 p.m., you're going to be able to maybe read before bed, find some time for self-care, go to bed earlier to actually get a restful sleep where you can put your mind at ease. Maybe it's a guided meditation before bed, and then find that time the next day. You'll have more energy. You'll be able to think clearer. You'll be able to respond to your children instead of reacting. So what is another thing you can discard? Maybe you can delegate some tasks at work, some of the things that are on your to-do list. Maybe it's having someone help you with social media or marketing tasks. Maybe it's saying no to a couple of meetings. And with that time, maybe you can find space to take off a few days, or maybe you're really just opening up a pocket of 30 minutes in your day so you can take a walk on your lunch break, or you're actually sitting down and eating so you're not ravenous and you're not overwhelmed and exhausted for the rest of your day. Maybe you're looking now to hire a babysitter on those days where you could really use some extra help, knowing when you have the holiday parties coming up, asking a family member, maybe setting up some carpooling or an activity with another family so that you can add some quality time with your spouse, or to find that time to do that shopping or get those tasks done, the decorating, the things that you really enjoy that maybe you're not finding enough time for. So again, we don't really have to think super far out. We're looking for the next month, what we can do now until the holidays, things that we can remove from our plate, things that we can gently release for the next 4 weeks from our plate so that we can make it more manageable for ourselves. And we can create our days more mindfully with that intention that we sought out at the beginning of this episode. And to close out this episode, I just want to mention how important it is to be able to say no and feel really good about it. And again, coming from a recovering perfectionist, someone who really was a people pleaser, and someone who had a hard time saying no because I thought that I should be able to do it all. I know that it can be difficult to turn down things or have to say no. And so, yes, we're in the month of no for November. But if saying no is difficult for you, I want you to consider that the most important things in your lives are the things that you are making most important. So in that visualization, when you're setting your intentions for the person you wanted to be, if you didn't see yourself being that person who was completely overwhelmed because they were doing everything for everyone else, but doing nothing for themselves, I want you to gently release any judgment that you have, any worry that people are going to be upset or worry that they're not going to like you or they're going to be angry. And I want you to consider that, especially as women, we are conditioned to be people pleasers. And a lot of autoimmune conditions, a lot of these mystery illnesses are really common in women. Twice as many women experience depression in their lives than men. And oftentimes there's little awareness about this. Oftentimes, that when we are betraying ourselves, not saying no when it doesn't feel right for ourselves, it's going to show up in other ways. It's going to show up as those illnesses or being exhausted or reaching burnout or finding ways in our life to cope that aren't necessarily healthy. So yes, the partying and the holiday cocktails and all of that can be great, but not if we're using it as a coping mechanism because we're doing too much for everyone else and we're not truly listening to ourselves. So I want you to remember that saying no truly is a good thing and to be able to release that guilt. And I do have a free download that's available. You can find the link in the notes for this podcast episode on how to remove the guilt, how to remove those judgments, how to say no in a way that's going to be really freeing and comfortable. And it's about forgiving yourself and finding new truths. So going back to those I am statements of how you truly want to feel and remembering that when you are creating space for the things that truly matter in your life, you are never going to regret it. So when you wake up Christmas morning feeling refreshed, feeling calm, feeling really content with how the holiday season has been, instead of feeling so exhausted that you don't even know that coffee is going to get you through the day with your kids, I hope that you are truly being that person that you wish you can be. So being aware what is unacceptable to you, having those non-negotiables. For me, it's like that daily walk is a non-negotiable. I have to get that in. Really normalize the process of gently and being clear, but kind when you say no, and knowing what's truly best for you, best for your family. It's not your responsibility to sacrifice yourself for others, but it is your responsibility to be the version of yourself that you set out to be at the beginning of this episode. So I send so much love to you as we close out this episode. And I hope that you got a lot from it. I hope that you took this exercise and you can really make some positive changes in the next month. And I'd really love for you to share this with someone else, maybe a busy mom friend or a colleague or someone who could use this information, go through this exercise to help them have a more peaceful, more calm, and just a more cheerful holiday season. If you found value in this, I would really appreciate if you could write me a short and sweet review on Apple Podcasts, rate this episode, and maybe throw it up on your social media. Share this so that other people can find this information, go through this exercise, and have a more cheerful holiday season. I send you so much love, and I can't wait to see you here for another episode of The Juggle is Real. Take good care.